Hello everyone, Savory by Lala here. Tonight we're going to be making a mushroom artichoke risotto. It is a gluten-free dish, and although I'm going to be adding a little bit of Parmesan to it, which will make it vegetarian, you can simply leave the Parmesan out and make it vegan if you like. This dish can stand on its own. It is extremely hearty and very filling. Or if you would like, you can accompany it with some shrimp, any type of fish, chicken, or steak. So let's get going and let me show you what you're gonna need for this. All right, so you need 12 ounces of sliced mushrooms, 1 cup of very small minced diced onion, about 2 tablespoons of very small minced shallot, 2 cloves of garlic, a couple tablespoons of olive oil, some quartered artichokes. I'm using these ones. They're packed in water, so they're perfect for this recipe. 2 cups of aboro rice, a half a cup of any type of cheap white wine. Of course, we're going to add a little bit of Parmesan, some salt and pepper. You're going to need 1 large pan and 6 cups of vegetable stock. I like to use this brand. I use this for beef, chicken. They have all different flavors. It stays in the refrigerator for a really long time and it has really great flavor. Now let's get started. I like to buy whole mushrooms. I don't like to buy the pre-sliced ones because they're a little bit too thick and I don't like it. These baby portobellas I got on sale, but they are a little bit big. So the best way to prepare these after you take the stem out, I'm just going to cut it in half. And then I'm just going to slice those 2 halves together. And that is it. If your store has some wild mushrooms, definitely go with that instead. Okay, once you have your onion, you got the ends cut, you got it peeled, cut it in half. The easiest way to make a really small dice on an onion, put your hand right on top. We're gonna do a horizontal cut. You're only gonna go about 3/4 of the way through, okay? We're gonna do at least 3 on this one, okay? The more you do, the smaller your dice is gonna be. After that, you're gonna take your knife and we're gonna run it through going vertically this way. We're gonna try to get those cuts as close as possible. This is what's going to give you that really nice small dice on the onion that we're looking for. Once you've done that, you can simply take your knife and just cut it really close. And you can see how small that dice is. Now for your shallot. You only need about 2 tablespoons, but you're going to do the same thing. You're going to cut the ends off. Typically, shallots are going to come with like 2 separate kind of bulbs in it. So you're going to peel off the outside of it. Now, same thing with our onion. I like to cut the shallot in half, okay, because this is going to make it a lot easier for us to dice. Now, since this is so small, we actually probably only going to need to do 1 horizontal slice. Again, only 3/4 of the way through. And then we're going to do lots of vertical cuts as close as possible. And then again, you're just going to chop this so you get a really nice fine dice. And you need about 2 tablespoons of this, so like 1 small shallot. Next, we're going to put our pan onto medium-high heat. We're going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil to that and let it heat up. Once our oil is hot, you always know that because it gets really shiny. We're going to add our cup of onion, a couple tablespoons of shallot, and we're going to let this cook until it becomes translucent, so for about 5 minutes. Now while your onions are cooking, make sure that your vegetable stock comes to a boil. Once it does, turn it down to low so it stays nice and hot. This is key into making risotto really nice and creamy. Now make sure with your onions that you're watching them and stirring them often. You do not want them to brown. So if you need to, reduce the heat and continue to cook them until they become translucent. Once our onions are nice and translucent, we're going to add our mushrooms and our 2 cloves of garlic. You're just going to saute this with the onions until the mushrooms become nice and tender. I highly recommend that you use a wooden spoon for this recipe. I actually can't honestly tell you why. I just know that one of my most influential chefs and friends, when I got out of culinary school and I was making risotto, he told me, never ever use a metal spoon with risotto. It won't come out as creamy. So that's the way I've been cooking it ever since. And I figured, don't try to fix what's not broke, right? So if you can, use a wooden spoon. You want to cook your mushrooms on a medium heat. As they cook, it's going to release the water that is naturally in the mushrooms. So it's going to help to cook them and soften them up very nicely. Now once our mushrooms have softened, they are not cooked all the way through because we still have a process of cooking this. So we don't want our mushrooms to get overdone or mushy. So now that they've gotten a little bit soft, we're now going to add our 2 cups of aburo rice. We're going to stir this around here, get it all really nice and coated. Make sure you get all of those oils all over the rice and that you're just incorporating it into your mushrooms. Next, you're going to take your 1/2 cup of white wine. We're going to add this to it. We're going to cook this until the wine is completely reduced. Once again, using wine or any type of alcohol in your food, all the alcohol burns off within 60 seconds. So you never have to worry about that if you're serving this to your kids or somebody who doesn't like alcohol or doesn't drink alcohol. You never have to worry about that. The alcohol, or in this particular instance, the wine, it's just adding some nice flavor. Okay, we want to build on our flavors. So this is what this is doing. We're going to cook this until the wine reduces, probably about a minute or so. You still have it on medium heat. And once that reduces, then we're going to add our stock. The wine has been completely absorbed. We're going to start adding in our vegetable stock. This is key to this recipe. You only want to add 1 ladle in at a time. You want to keep your heat on a medium to low temperature. We're going to constantly stir this as the vegetable stock absorbs. Aburo is a rice, okay? So think about when you make a regular white rice. It takes about 30 minutes, right? It's the same thing with this, and so we want to make sure that we're cooking this nice and low and slow. Constantly stirring it. The stirring is going to give it that nice creaminess. We want to release all of those starches from the rice. And we want to make sure that every single ladle we put in is completely absorbed before we add our next ladle. You're going to continue to do this until all of your vegetable stock is done. You also want to make sure that your stock stays on your nice low temperature burner. You want it to stay really nice and hot after it's come to a boil. You want to make sure that you're adding a hot liquid into your risotto. That's going to help to cook the rice a little bit faster. Let's also give it that creaminess that we're looking for. Now, in case you get impatient and you cook your risotto too fast, the easiest solution when you need more broth, always keep some boiling water. Heat it up in your microwave, pour it in your pot, add a little bit of vegetable stock to it, and voila, you have some more vegetable stock ready to use. All right, so I have now added 8 cups of vegetable stock into this. So let's taste it. It's been about 45 minutes. I do live in a pretty high elevation, which if you're making this and you live in a high elevation, it's definitely going to take longer. Okay, it's just about done. I'm gonna let this absorb and then we're gonna taste it again to see if our risotto is completely cooked. We might add another ladle or two of it. Again, I have some vegetable stock already boiling on low, so if I need to add it, I can. All right, so our liquid has reduced. Let's taste again. It's just about done. Now we're gonna add in our artichokes. These are already cooked, so we're really just heating them up. But I do think I'm gonna add another ladle of vegetable stock. Make sure that every time you add a ladle of your vegetable stock that you're stirring it. All right, let's taste this. It's been about an hour for me. Again, I live like 5,000 feet above sea level, so it takes a little longer for things to cook. The risotto is just about done. This is a lot right here for just 2 people. This is the perfect time to pull some of it off and cool it and freeze it so you can have it for later. We're also gonna start adding some salt and pepper to this. We don't ever wanna do this part until the end. Our vegetable stock adds a lot of salt into our dish, so I never like to add my salt until later. All of this has been cooking for so long and it's been building all of these flavors from just the vegetable stock. Let's take a taste again. I only added about a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna add a little bit more pepper, only because I like my food to be a little bit spicy. If you think this is good for your family's palate and your palate, then don't add anything. That's the great thing about cooking. It's all about making it for you and for your family and how you like it. Alberto rice is just like al dente. So this is the perfect time to pull it aside so that you can freeze it. You'll want to heat it up with a little bit more vegetable stock, and now you have another side dish to go with the meal for later. All right, let's serve this up. We're gonna do however much your family wants to eat. We're gonna do some fresh Parmesan. Again, you can leave this out if you have a lactose allergy. This is why I love this dish. My middle son is lactose intolerant, so I love dishes that I can make with or without Parmesan cheese. I am gonna add a little bit of fresh chopped parsley. Now you don't have to add the fresh parsley, but I like to do it. Adds a little bit of flavor. Also makes your dish look very pretty. And who doesn't want to eat something that looks pretty? I hope that you have enjoyed this cooking lesson. Please like, follow, and share. And also comment when you make this dish. I would love to hear from you and how you like it. Have a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.